everyone. So, the sequel that I'm going to be reviewing today is a sequel coming from a studio that I really didn't want to watch any sequels from anymore. This is Walt Disney Animation Studios, the studio of classic animated films that began an era for animation and hasn't really been doing the same impact nowadays. I mean, truth be told, we can criticize a lot of studios. I'm not one of those people who loves hopping on Disney's hate train. Granted, they have made tons of terrible decisions at times, hint those goddamn live action films, but every studio makes bad choices. So I'm not going to act like Disney is the prime minister of that. They're just an example of bad decisions. I just want to hope that they can eventually start making good decisions. So, but yeah, in every bad decision Disney has made, in terms of Walt Disney Animation Studios, sort of like their own animation studio that they make for it and sort of leave Pixar to do their own thing, I guess, kind of what it is. It seems that there's been issues with that studio in terms of its sequels. I've never really gotten into the idea of when they made sequels to their own animated library. There's of course the era from the 90s and 2000s where it was just a bunch of random direct-to-video sequels to films nobody wanted sequels to. It was a mess. Then during the last decade, they started making more sequels to their anime films to release in theaters. Some were okay, but for the most part, not much else to spark me for. Like they made a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. It wasn't anything to admire as a pretty amazing animated sequel, so that just went nowhere. There was Frozen 2. It was ginormous, but I never got interested in seeing it. And then they made Moana 2 last year, which, again, had no interest in seeing. And I just felt like that this was a studio that had a lineup of sequels I just could not really get into. I mean, some sequels I'll watch, but overall nowadays I feel like, man, maybe these just aren't the movies I want to see sequels for. But naturally this year we are getting another sequel to a animated Disney film, and had my first thought of just maybe I don't want to see it. It's for Zootopia. Zootopia is a movie that honestly I have to admit I found to be a little overrated. It's a really good movie, okay? I'll just say it right now. Zootopia is really good. It has great animation, the story is nice, it's definitely a great film to watch. But people call it one of the best in Disney's library. I didn't really see it as that. I just thought it was a pretty good animated film. I didn't really think it was anything spectacular. But regardless, it did have sequel potential. So they made a sequel to Zootopia this year. Of course, had to wait this long. Now we have a sequel to Zootopia. When it was announced, I was like, ooh, maybe I could see it. Then I realized, oh, my thing with Disney sequels. All right, well, maybe I won't see it. Then I saw a trailer and I was like, nah, I'm not going to see it. Saw a second trailer. Well, then by the time this movie was fully noted and was ready to release, I was like, okay, I guess I want to see it now. There's been a lot going forward with this movie and why I wanted to see it. Apparently, the story looked interesting. There was a big new cast, and I'm like, damn, okay. And it sold me. So I went to go see. I got interested in seeing Zootopia 2. I saw that apparently when it came out, there were lots of people praising it, and I'm like, okay, that's rare for a Disney sequel. So I went to go see it. And here's what I have to say. So what does this movie have going for it story-wise? The story of this movie is takes place, as the film implies, 1 week from the first movie. It's one of those quick to admit it. They didn't do the whole time skip, and truth be told, I guess it is an okay case in this scenario. Normally I criticize movies that do barely a time skip when there's so much time that went by since the last movie released. But in this case, it's only been 9 years. Oh god, that is kind of long. But truth be told, they didn't really do much to make this feel more modern than back then. They don't acknowledge all the 2025 stuff that you wouldn't hear in 2016, so I guess that's good. But anyway, yeah, we get a little rehash of the events that occurred in the last movie, and starting off immediately, we know the truth that now our beloved Bunny and Fox, Hops and Nick, that's what they're called, that's what I'm calling them. They're a duo now, of course, a dynamic duo between being police officers as well as a couple that DeviantArt will have a blast with, unfortunately. But anyway, this movie shows us that these two are now trying to work as a great power police couple or whatever, a duo, I guess you can call it that. They're trying to be a good duo. They're trying to continue their duties of stopping crime and being awesome, but it turns out the Idris Elba leader, I forgot what animal he was, but apparently he um, doesn't like their dynamic that much. Yeah, remember we had to go for that whole him being salty about what they are in the last movie. Well, in this movie, he's that too. Except now the difference is now he's upset about them as a being partners. He's like, I don't know. Are you two really good partners? Are you? So after a failed case of smuggling weed, it did look like weed we saw, they are apparently now trying to work out how they can be a good duo. And they learn about a new case of a snake, a very very devious looking snake, who they have to investigate at a Shakira concert. Yeah, remember the Shakira um animal from the first movie who had that big song that was everywhere on the charts? Well, this movie she's back and has a new song to top the charts. One that I'll actually have to say is a little bit catchier than the last one. The last movie's Shakira song was a little annoying at times, but this one actually sounds a little nicer if I'm being honest. It's a newer. It also fits the theme better. The first movie we had "Try Everything." Yeah, sure. That's a good song to get the kids hype. In this movie, the song is "Zoo," a song title that actually fits more with the theme of the movie. So that's probably one good sign, I guess. But anyway, yeah, they try to catch the snake at the concert, but they learn that the snake is not the victim. What do you know? It's one of those cases again. The snake is innocent as they now have to try and save it, but it turns out no one else believes that. They all believe that the snake is guilty, and now are under the belief that these two are also guilty. Hups and Nick are now fugitives. Now they have to escape from their own kind, the police. They have to escape from the police. They become fugitives of what they don't want. Now they have a snake on their hands. And they even get to meet the Godfather again. Remember in the last movie they had this whole Godfather bit? Well, apparently it became more than a bit. They made a full-on new character. So now he returns to try and help them run away from the country, flee the area. You know how that goes. But Judy's like, nah, we gotta do this. We gotta do this. So they can follow along with this new case where they meet new characters and go to new locations. They meet a beaver who is kind of funny, I guess. But anyway, yeah, the beaver guides them to their new destination where they learn from a chameleon who is voiced by Danny Trejo about this new snake world that was apparently taken away from the snakes for a bad case of snake bite infection. It's a whole world of reptiles that apparently was taken away. And they're just still on the run with the snake. I forgot to mention, you know who voices the snake? Ke Huy Quan. Yeah, they got him too. There's a lot of new cast members in this movie, dare I say. There's more to come. So yeah, they have to save the snake, but they also see that there is someone helping the snake too, not just this duo. Apparently, a member of the cat family, whatever, who is voiced by Andy Samberg, because he's funny, I guess. He's helping the snake too. He wants to escape, and because he believes the snake is good, even though his family is telling him otherwise. Mammals versus reptiles thing, I guess. So they do the adventure as a it's four of them, I guess. Yeah, they're four of them are escaping, making their way to the hidden destination. And thus we see our adventure continue along. But things get messy when they eventually have their moment where Judy and Nick are like, I don't know how we're doing this. I don't like you anymore. Oh, no, not you. But then again, the movie does make it work a little fine, I guess. I don't know. You can understand both sides. I do like that this movie makes it to where both sides are okay. We don't have to get mad at each other for all this crap. Anyway, yeah, they have their little breakout moment or whatever, but thankfully that doesn't last long as the cops then show up to get them, and Nick gets arrested while Judy escapes safely. And what is she like? Who cares? No, she actually does feel bad for him. I mean, she still goes along, continues the journey, but she does still feel very bad for Nick. So I guess that's fine. She has the mindset that she's gonna do this to save him. So I guess you could say that's cute. Get your heads out, DeviantArt. I'm sorry, I don't want to convince you. Really don't want to encourage you to do anything. But anywho, so now Nick's in prison. Who does he meet in prison? Bunch of random inmates. Some have celebrity voices. Like there's a actual Michael J. Fox cameo in this movie. You know Michael J. Fox, the guy who has not been acting since he pretty much said he was retiring. Well, he made a cameo in this movie. So I guess he had to show up somehow. He only had one line. It was a in-joke line. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, he had an in-joke line in this movie, and that was it. No more hearing from him. He can't talk much, I guess, for this movie. But anyway, he also meets the beaver, who helps him escape. Then, apparently, they accidentally release a bunch of other inmates, one of them happening to be the sheep from the last movie, who was the big twist villain involved in this dangerous crime scenario. She just escaped. They just let her free. It was like they treated it as a gag, so, like, is that it? Has she escaped? Are they just going to let that fly because it's a gag? Well, anyway, we'll just get back to the real story because that's what's important now. We've learned that there is a twist villain in this movie, too. Turns out the cat that was helping them is actually not really wanting to help him. He actually is trying to work for his family. Oh, yeah. One of the parts of his family, I forgot which one, but is voiced by Macaulay Culkin, too. Yeah, that little Kevin McAllister kid. Well, he's all grown up now, and he has a voice work in this movie as one of the members of this cat family. Anyway, let me not get too off track. Yeah, he's a twist villain. He reveals that he really is working with them, and he doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to be different. So, yeah, he sabotages them. He tries to murder Judy, but Nick shows up just in time as him and the beaver make their way through as they get help from a big high-speed car man. Who is it? It's the sloth. Yeah, that whole hilarious bit from the first movie with the sloth. Oh, we remember that. It was all fun games, wasn't it? It was kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, the sloth drives them because apparently, as slow as they are also super fast drivers. So, yeah, they get a super fast sloth to drive them to where Judy is and save her. Then they both manage to kill the big cat. Yeah, that was a big jump, isn't it? The last movie was their twist villain got caught by the police. In this movie, they killed him. It was an accidental kill. They had to jump from a cliff, and the cat didn't make it, but it still died. Well, actually, then it's revealed that the cat didn't die. They have their nice, beautiful, wholesome moment before they realize that the cat is still alive, and they have to still chase him down, where he makes his way to the forbidden city that all the reptiles come from. Apparently, these reptiles were taken away from their big city that they snowed in, and now the cat has to try and destroy it before anyone can save it, going through the Shining maze that they literally treat as a Shining reference. Like, they don't hide that it's a Shining reference. More on that later. But they do stop him, his evil plan of destroying more of this city, and he's taken to jail. The reptiles are welcomed back into their city. They all join together, happy and whatnot. And this movie does actually address that bit of all the dangerous criminals escaping. You thought that that was just a bit. It's like, oh, they're just going to blow it over. Who cares if someone who caused a terrible crisis of animal rabies? Nah, it doesn't matter. It's just a gag. No, they actually acknowledge that that was a big issue, and the movie ends with the two of them returning to duty by catching them, and it literally ends with a shot of them catching the sheep. We can't have the idea that she is just now an escaped convict. No, they gotta get her. Gotta know that she really is a criminal. She's not just gonna have that whole arc again for the third movie. And that's the story. Yeah, I just explained a big bit of the story. It's spoiled now, so no one else can watch this movie. But I guess I can say that the story in this movie was really great. It had a nice pun to it. I did like the way it was pasted. I do like how all the drama is done in a much nicer and quicker manner now. We don't have to spend too much time with it. They actually do rush it. And I know that usually sounds like it's a bad choice, but in the case of this movie, the rushed drama is good. We gotta have, because there's time to get these things set up. We don't have to worry about spending too much time with them apologizing to each other or whatever. No, the story does work fine. I guess it was a little annoying how some elements were taken back from the first movie, but there weren't too many elements. It was mostly just new, was returning characters, and I guess some of the personalities never really changed that much. Like Nick is still the same old annoying self or whatever, and a couple of the other characters seem to have their ways still. But other than that, it's the story still works really nicely, and I did have a lot of fun with it. So that's always a good thing. Hiccups, I know they suck. But how does this movie handle its free genres? These three genres I'm going to mention: the animation, the comedy, and the family ideal that this movie has. What are they like? Well, let's talk about the animation. Pretty great as always. That wasn't hard. The animation in this movie is definitely nice. I will give it more credit how it does create more skin textures for this new world of reptiles, whatnot. Like one of our new main characters is a snake, and the snake looks pretty damn great. I love how it's like it has the cartoon eyes textured, but the overall body structure is still unrealistic looking. It's one of those cases where he is obviously we know looks animated, but also moves very fluidly. That's what every character is like in this movie. They move very fluidly while still being very cartoonish. That's just something about animation I love when they have characters who have a very cartoony look, but very fluid movements that make that where they move pretty realistically. And there's a lot of that in this movie. I guess I also want to impress how the animation does look about as amazing as in the first one. I know usually we would criticize it for not changing, but can you really change something that already looks great? The animation in Zootopia was already pretty awesome, so honestly, they didn't really need to do too much to change it. They just kept it in the same format. They didn't have to add in some of that new stylized comic textures that movies like Spider-Man or Puss in Boots like to make awesome. No, they just have to keep the same kind of structure of animation and just make it work again. And that's what they did. So yeah, I applaud them for that. Keeping the old animation art that the first movie had while still giving it a nice look and, dare I say, even make some moments look even more beautifully animated. Beautifully animated movies. Those are always great. All right, so what can I say about this movie's comedy like? The comedy in this movie is a hell of a lot better than in the first movie. I know that's weird for me to say. A modern movie is funnier than an older movie, but I'm gonna be honest. This was actually kind of was. I actually thought the jokes this movie had were a lot more funnier and memorable than the first one. The first movie's comedy was fine, okay, but it had its ups and downs. There were lots of funny moments, but there were also some not very funny moments. Just kind of didn't really spark me enough. This movie, it had lots of great comedy, okay? Like all the characters from the first movie return and they may still have their same bits, but they actually still work really well in this movie. Like I love that. I love those movies that can just bring back old bits, but actually give a new meaning to them to make them still work as separate funny moments. And that's what this movie does. We have a lot of characters that return. Like, for example, the Shakira character actually has more dialogue this time. It's not just there to sing the song. In this movie, the Shakira character, who I think is a gazelle, yeah, that's what it is, a gazelle, actually has dialogue in this movie. And that's good writing, but it's also really funny too. Like we hear her sing her iconic chart-topping song for this movie, but she also has dialogue to go with too. It's great. But anyway, yeah, there's that. There's a lot of course, fun celebrity cameos and puns too. Like for example, in a scene where they're watching the news, we see one of the new newscasters is named Bob Tiger. Get what that? Get it? Get it? Get it? If you're a Disney fan, you obviously get it. That was good. That was good. Or some quick bits too, like one quick bit where we see a Ratatouille reference of a rat on a head of another animal. So animal controlling animal. That was really nice. It was quick, like less than 5 seconds, but still really funny. Nice little quick in-joke bit for Pixar fans like myself. Or you know how the first movie's mayor was voiced by J.K. Simmons and was a lion? Well, the mayor in this movie is a horse, voiced by Patrick Warburton. Perfect. Okay, you get Patrick Warburton in your movie, instant perfect. It's kind of funny seeing him involved with all these big celebrity names. I mean, he is a big celebrity name, but not in terms of what they were going with. We have these stars who are known for lots of great live action movie roles. Patrick Warburton is mostly a voice actor. So, while I guess it was kind of weird seeing him put alongside these other big names, at the same time, he's still a great actor, and hearing his voice is already enough to give me the laughs. He's amazing in every role he's in. So yeah, having him voice the new mayor, a character who does have lots of screen time in this movie, is always a great touch. And yeah, he doesn't scream as much, I guess, since we know our favorite cast members can get old. But he does still talk in his classic voice, and you can still hear it. Every time he's talking, I'm like, good old Joe Swanson slash Kronk slash every other character I've seen him in. He is a good one. But of course, there's all those little side movie references too. Like, of course, the Godfather reference returns, and it's new and fresh. Like, we always like that. Remember that bit in the last movie where we saw the weasel selling pirated DVDs that were puns of actual Disney films? Well, that returned in this movie. We got some new ones, but not enough. The only one I remember that was new for this one was the Pandalorian. Yeah, gotta love it, right? But yeah, that was pretty funny, I'll say. And I think the funniest bit in this movie is one I just mentioned previously. Remember how I said there was this whole Shining reference they were overshadowing? Well, they really were. Okay, that bit actually made me laugh out loud. I hate to admit it, but it actually did. The scene is literally where the cat finds the maze. Not only does the music play, there's actual snow, and the cat actually walks in the same pattern as Jack Nicholson. It is literally the same scene reanimated. I couldn't stop laughing there. It was great. That actually was an amazing joke. I can't believe I'm saying that about an animated Disney film, but I actually really like that. Yeah. And yeah, naturally, it's all great in there. And it's also great seeing some that sheep character. In the first movie, I didn't care for her. It was a kind of a stupid twist villain, I'm going to be honest. That was probably my biggest problem with the first movie. In this movie, she's pretty much a Hannibal Lecter. Yes. Nick walks past her in prison, and she's just like, hello, priest. It's hilarious. And it's also funny how she escapes, and it's like, oh crap, great, we have a murder on the loose. And it's like, and I'm thankful, like I said, I'm thankful that this movie didn't brush that off too far, and they knew that she shouldn't be escaping. So at the end, we see her trying to escape the country from getting tickets from a koala who is voiced by Steve Irwin's son, Robert Irwin. Steve Irwin, man. This movie didn't have any stingrays in it, so thankfully, nothing else happened. But anyway, yeah, they catched her, and that's literally what the very end shot was, them catching her. That's pretty great, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna admit, the comedy in this movie actually did make me laugh a couple times. I'm impressed. So good job on that one. Now let's talk about what this movie does with its overall family portion. What I mean when I talk about what makes a movie a good family film is what kind of moral does it have? What moral does this movie have? What makes the moral work? Well, the moral of this movie is pretty similar, but also different than the one in the first movie. The first movie's moral was pretty much all about racism. It was pretty much a topic involving how an animal's instincts don't always come from their species. It's like, mammals aren't all dangerous because of what types are, I guess. I guess that's kind of what I was going for. I was kind of trying to focus on the idea of racism and how we fit in society. Truth be told, this movie does that too. This movie also tackles racism. I guess that's kind of a trend with Zootopia. That's pretty much what the morals are always going to be. Probably what it's going to be when the third one, if that ever comes out. An idea involving racism. But this one does do something different with it. The first one's topic was, like I've said, about how animals all have different instincts, but they're not always going to be killer predators out there if one mammal has it and the other doesn't. Or I guess it's more so sort of that idea of how we can't always not trust animals just because of what species they are or whatever. In this movie, the topic more so refers to what people are like in their difference, and how it kind of teaches us that it's okay to work alongside someone who is different. that's kind of what this movie deals with. It deals with the idea of being different from one another. We see this in between both Nick and Judy, how it's one's a sleazy fox and the other is a smart ass bunny. Well, they're both smart asses, but truth being told, this movie shows how they both do have sort of a different mindset. Yet we get to learn the lesson that it work. There, two differences can work alongside each other. That actually is a new moral that this movie has that the first movie didn't have that much of. I guess if you look at it in a new eye, it did sort of go with that, but it wasn't the main message, and you definitely didn't see much of it there. This movie does go with that message, and it also establishes it with the snake character. And it's funny how at the end, apparently, it was a four-way between Nick, Judy, the snake, and the beaver. All four of them joined forces at the end. It was like, this is going to be our new group, right? Well, I don't know. I think that kind of was just a one-time thing because at the very end, it was just back to being just Nick and Judy. But still, seeing this all work with the moral was pretty nice. They had a little heartfelt moment, the two, and it was actually pretty emotional, I'll admit. And it definitely did tie in with the moral pretty nicely. And I think the moral, along with all the other elements in this movie, were actually done a little bit superior to the first one. You heard that right. I actually think Zootopia 2 is not only a great movie, but actually a better film. Look, the first Zootopia movie was really good, okay? It had great animation, the story worked well. It just had a few rough moments. Not all of the comedy landed top tier, and that twist villain was a little stupid, I'm going to be honest. This movie, however, had pretty top-notch comedy, a really fun new story, a message that actually does feel nice to learn, and a twist villain that actually worked better. It actually tied in more to the plot. It wasn't just a, hey, I'm working alongside you. Psych, I'm the bad guy. It was someone who kind of fit in with a purpose to all this. Like, we see him at first, we're like, should we really trust you? And he's like, no, I'm on your side. I'm helping you all out. And it's not even just like where he learns to go ahead and join their side at the end. I mean, I guess that would have been fun, but no. At the end, he's just like, boom, no, I don't want to change. I don't want to be different. And that's how we learn the moral. So, yeah, that works well. I think this movie pretty much takes a lot of the aspects from the first movie, brings them back, and improves upon them. The comedy it takes, it makes it better. The twist villain it takes, it makes it better. The animation it takes, it makes it slightly better. It's not much of it, but still. And then, of course, best of all, it takes Shakira's big pop song, remakes it for this movie, makes it a new pop song, one that actually is better. That's the big thing, you know? That fact that we have a pop song for this movie that I actually enjoyed more. That's something all of us can remember. I don't really see this song topping the charts as big as, I guess, the big crave nowadays with all the K-pop stuff. And there is one movie that has proven that. But it's still a better song in my opinion, so that's just what I think. Overall, I think Zootopia 2 surprised me amazingly. It was a great movie. Does this mean my outlook on Disney sequels is going to change? No. No, I still think that they're going to not do so well with more sequels. That is, if they don't continue with this new direction. I think the direction this sequel had really should be used for more sequels, especially from Disney and Pixar even. So I don't know what the next sequel Disney will release. Actually, I think I saw it's going to be Frozen Free. I'm not planning on seeing that, but for all the people who are hyped to see that movie, I hope Disney should take notes with what this movie had going for it. Because this definitely does seem like a good movie to take notes for when Disney will continue to make sequels for their animated films. So yeah, if they're still making Frozen Free, they should take notes from how they made this movie. And I don't want to say keep making sequels. That's not what I'm saying. No. Just continue to make more original ideas too. But take notes of how much effort you put into them. Like, just do that. Yeah, even with original films, you can take notes from this movie because this movie had aspects that can work for new original films. Just gotta put effort into it, that's all. That's so hard. Does it really have to only be effort if it's a sequel? Can you not just put that same effort into some original films, Disney, for God's sake? Do you have to remake Lilo and Stitch for God's sake? Why would you? Oh my God. I I I I wanted to do a hate review on these movies, but that requires going to see them, and I'm not really interested in doing that. So no, I'm only reviewing movies I feel like I'm actually interested in going to see. So a lot of the hate movies coming out are not all going to be movies I'll review. Yeah, so you're not going to be seeing me review a Disney remake because I don't want to see any new ones. No, no. So be lucky I did Zootopia too, because this is gonna be a thing that I probably won't do that often anymore if Disney will continue to make sequels and remakes in a completely unoriginal pattern.